Okay, good morning, everybody. And thank you for joining us for our Getting Started with Site Search webinar. Just to introduce myself, I am Jessie Smith, and I'm from our platform product marketing team. And also on our call today, we will have Dana from our solutions product management team, as well as Christy from our Hitchhikers team. So our agenda for today is I will walk you through a quick overview of our Yext products. You will get an intro to our Yext free trial. Then we'll walk through a demo of the generic site search free trial. You will learn how to add more data to your knowledge graph. And then you will add a new vertical, and we'll end with some Q&A. Great. So to kick things off with our Yext products, I first just want to give some context for how our products can help you win in search. So for many years, search was very simple. Search engines would take queries and match it to any documents that it could contain those keywords. And so keyword search had been around for a while with really very little innovation. And as you can see on the left here, it would bring back blue links. You'd have to click through to get your answer. But then things started to change when Google and other consumer search engines started to develop algorithms that were not just based on keywords, but they were based on natural language understanding and artificial intelligence. And so this led to the rise of AI search and a shift in consumer expectations. And so you can see here on the right, this Google experience, I'm sure, is very familiar to all of us, and an experience that we really grow to expect. And so a user can now expect to get that direct answer and get that quick context that they're looking for without having to go through a list of blue links and verify which website should be the source of their answer. And due to these advancements, customers expect amazing experiences every step of their online journey. And that's where Yext comes in. So today we will empower you all to offer excellent search on your very own websites and platforms. And consumers will be able to depend on your site search just as much as they depend on search engines like Google. So how do we get you there? We can connect and collect information all across your enterprise, and that's the first step. And we understand that no business is the same, and your data can live in a number of different areas. We make it easy to bring that data into Yext using pre-built or even sometimes custom integrations. The next step is that we organize it into your very own knowledge graph, structuring the facts about your brand into real-world entities, as well as storing those very important relationships between entities that might be very specific to your organization. And then lastly, we make that information accessible to your customers, prospects, and employees through multiple channels. So this includes, things like third-party experience, like a listing or a review on Google, Apple Maps, or Amazon Alexa. But really important for today's conversation, it also includes artificial intelligence search experiences, which we will want to host on your very own website. So there are many, many more offerings that you can build on our flexible Yext platform. And like I said, today's focus is site search, but it's important to consider all of the touch points in a customer's online journey and just understand where search fits in as a very important piece. So your next question may be, how will I get my specific data into Knowledge Graph so that I can power my own search experience? So there are three main ways to populate your data in your Knowledge Graph. The first and most simple is just manual entry. So you can add a single entity at any point in time, whether you're just starting your knowledge graph or whether it's very complex and advanced and you have tons of entities, but you just thought of one more that you forgot. That's always going to be an option. And we'll walk you through a simple flow where you can add the important information. So you can always add entities on a one-off basis. The second option is a file upload. And that is a great option for people maybe who have their data stored already in a CSV file or an Excel file where, or even if you have it somewhere where you can easily export it into that format, it tends to be a really simple way to upload data in bulk, where you're actually adding more than one entity into your knowledge graph. It tends to be very simple, especially because people sometimes have their data in that format already. And then lastly, we have our connectors framework. And that's a good option if your data lives in any other source, including, other apps, a database, your website, other platforms. You can use the connectors framework to extract, transform, and load data from that source into Yext. So to dive a little deeper on this connectors framework, because this is actually something you'll go through a bit with Dana today. Like I said, it's a low code or no code ETL tool where you can start with a variety of data sources. So anything from Vimeo, Slack, YouTube, etc. Or you could even build a custom connector if you have your own source. And so you're able to use a variety of these sources to get your data into Yext using our connectors framework. And if you were interested in doing a deeper dive on connectors, we have a really awesome webinar we did in December that you can find on our YouTube page. So highly recommend checking that out. And in the connectors framework, we have certain data sources, and one of them is the crawler. And that the reason I'm highlighting this is because Dana's going to show this to you today. The crawler is, it allows you to scrape your own web pages for their HTML content. So it can be, a really quick and easy way, sometimes to get data through a shortcut if you already have that stored in HTML on your site. And then the only other caveat I'll make here is while connectors are an extremely exciting tool that we have, you don't have to use them. It's basically what's best for you based on where your data lives. If you just need to add one thing, or you have a file already loaded up with this information, no need to get into it, but the crawler, as well as all of our other data sources and connectors are there to help you out when you do need that little extra support in getting your data loaded into Knowledge Graph. And now I will pass it over to Dana to talk through the free trial.
Thanks, Jessie. So just a few points before we get into actually making our own account using the free trial flow. These free trials, today I'm going to go through our generic site search free trial, can all be found on the Yext website. So we have a few free trials in other categories, depending on where your data is stored and where you want your answers experience to live. But for our site search one, we are going to be pulling in data from any website, and we'll get to that in a second. But a few benefits of the free trial are that we can create a Yext account in under a minute. This includes pulling in your data, creating an answers experience, and creating all of the different entity types or other configuration that previously you would have to do on your own. So that covers two of those. And we also can stand up answers with the click of a button, which is a really cool thing to see. And we'll show that as we get into it. So if you want to follow along and also try this later on, you can follow along with the Hitchhiker Guide to add site search to your website. This goes through how to go through the free trial, pull in the data, a few steps on creating an answers experience, which Christy is going to also show us how to do. Because the answers experience is created for you on install, that just means adding more configuration to make it even more robust. Additionally, if you aren't already on Hitchhikers, feel free to go to hitchhikers.yext.com to sign up, and then you'll have access to all of these different resources and be able to learn even more about Yext. So what I'm about to show is going to yext.com/try/site search. So feel free to plug that into your browser if you want to kind of follow along here and sign up for an account and try that, or you can just watch the recording afterwards, use the guide, and we're just going to go through this right now. So we are on yext.com/try/site search. So I'm coming here, I'm going to pretend I don't have a Yext account. I have a website. Let's say I own hitchhikers.yext.com. I'm going to come in here and type my name and just type my email. Let's just choose this one. I'm going to say I work for Yext. And then my website is going to be hitchhikers.yext.com. So we need this website so that we can pull in the data right away. And if you put in your website, whatever your website is, we'll be able to crawl the data right away, as Jesse mentioned, with our crawler as your account is created. So I'm going to click next. All you'll need to do after that is just create a password so that you can log into your account later on. Oops, let's just change my email. And then behind the scenes, this is beginning to run that crawler to pull in data into my account. It's giving me all of the resources and files I need in order to have the back end and front end for my answers experience, so that when I open this account and I'm able to access it, then I can see some data already being pulled in, and I don't really have to do anything else. So right here, this little quick start guide helps you give you steps for what to do next. As we see, we don't have any data in the knowledge graph yet. That's because the crawl is in progress. So I can go and view my crawler, and we can see that I've already crawled 38 pages. It's in progress. There's actually a few thousand pages on the hitchhikers.yext.com website. So I'm not gonna have us sit here and wait for that to come in, though it does only take about 10 minutes, which is very fast for all of that data to pull in. So we're just gonna go into an account that I already have that has the data in it already. So we have about 3,000 pages in our account that are all from the hitchhikers.yext.com site. And if we want to go look at the connector and kind of a little bit of a sense of like the back end of where that's coming in, we'd click on the connectors tab. And we'd be able to see we have this connector crawler set up that's pulling in the data from the website. So we can click into it. We can see that there's been a few runs. We can click edit, and we can see that there's already all this configuration set up that you didn't even need to do or touch or even really know when you signed up for your account. We're choosing to crawl this data. We've chosen what data we want to pull in, and we've mapped it to the fields in our knowledge graph. So we have all of this data in our knowledge graph, but let's say that in my answers experience, I want to add more data. We have a few options for that. I'm going to click this add data modal. I could add a single entity like Jesse talked about. I could build a connector from scratch, which if you watch that webinar from December, you'll learn a lot about how to do that. I can install an app, which I'm going to do today because it's super quick and easy. Or if I had a file with other data that I wanted, I could upload that as well. So I'm going to click install an app. And I see we have all of these different apps here. So all of these different apps, because these are all different connectors, can pull in data from any of these sources into your Yext account with a few clicks. So I know that Yext has a Vimeo channel. So I'm going to pull in all of the videos from our Vimeo channel because that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to click install. I'm going to say, yes, Yext can install all of these different resources into my account. This is creating the video entity type. It's adding fields that will be visible on the entities, and it's installing the connector so that we can pull in the data. So the only piece of information that I need here is the user ID for my Vimeo channel. I know that is Yext videos, so I'm going to input that in, and then I'm going to click authorize. Once this runs, we're going to pull in a few hundred videos from our Vimeo channel, and then we'll have all of that video data in our account. Once that's all there, then we'll be able to add a new vertical to our experience. While that's running, as you see on the side here, we can enable our answers experience with the data that we've already pulled in with our website just by clicking enable here. So I'm going to click enable because the Vimeo data that we're pulling in right now isn't actually going to be included yet in the search experience. That's what Christy's going to show us how to do. Right now, this search experience just has the data from the website that we crawled. And this is going to take a few minutes to just get published and load.
We can click on our search experience in production, and this will link us out to our live search experience that can now be embedded on our website, whatever website we want to add it to. So let's just run a search and see what it looks like. So I'll just type in Hitchhikers modules, since this was pulling in all the different pages from the Hitchhiker site, and we can see that we're getting back some links, we get back some more content, and then we can go view the page and go look at some modules after we've done it.
I'm going to hand it over to Christy, who can show us how to build our next things. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. So right now we're looking at our knowledge graph. So we can see all the content that Dana just pulled in. We've got pages that we crawled from our site, and then also videos that we pulled in using that Vimeo connector. So I'm going to show you how to add a vertical. But before we jump into the vertical, I kind of want to get a lay of the land to see what data we have to work with. And so I just pulled up a video entity to see what kind of content we have on there. And so we've got the name of the video, the links to the video, description, some date. And that is all pulled from this entity, what is Yext, our Vimeo video. You can see all that same content here. And I've got one more thing I want to pull up to help me add the vertical. So right now I'm on our knowledge graph configuration page. You can see all of the different entity types that I have. And I want to pull up specifically the video one so I can see the fields that I have to work with. Jump over to fields. And this is really helpful because it shows me all of the API names for each of the fields, which I'll need to use in a bit for the vertical. So let's jump into making the actual vertical. So we have, for our answers experiences, when you created your free trial account, an answers experience was created for you. That means the back end and the front end was created. And so right now I'm looking at the back end. I got here just by going to answers and the experiences tab. You've got our one experience here. If you have multiple, you'll see them all listed. So let's click into this and see. Here. So the back end of the answers configuration shows you how to, it kind of shows you how that you can configure how the algorithm searches your data. So let's just run a test search to begin with. We just looked at the video, what is Yext? So let's look that up and see what we've got. So it looks like we've got this featured snippet here that answers your question directly, as well as some pages. You can see it's very bare bones. This is just to show you how the algorithm will pull in results for you. So there's no styling or anything yet, but it's helpful to see what results will show up. And you can see that's the end of it. So the answers experience that you start with when you use that free trial would just have the pages that you crawled in. And so we want to add that videos vertical. So we can jump over to the verticals under configuration here. And you can see that we have this nice UI where it is really easy for you to add verticals here. We can add different other pieces of configuration down here, direct answers, sorting, query suggestions. And so we, it's a really easy UI for you to add whatever pieces of the configuration you want. And so for now, we'll look at adding a vertical. So this right now is settings for the pages vertical that comes automatically with your free trial. I want to add a vertical here and we'll select videos. So you can see that videos was added and we've got some searchable fields already set up. You can see that name has semantic text search. Hovering over the header shows you what semantic text search is. So this is just to say we're searching for anything that is semantically similar to the name, and entities will surface. And for the built-in entity type, we've got an NLP filter on that, which just means that it's a filter that kind of filters out anything that is related to their search. So this is helpful if someone were to search for videos. So the entity type is videos for this. So if someone were to search videos, then they would return. So let's hit save there. And so if we were to run the same search here, you can see we have this test search on the side here as well. That's similar to that full screen test search we saw earlier. So what is Yext? We see videos vertical now shows with that what is Yext video at the very top. And if we scroll down, we see the same pages that we saw earlier. Great. So this is the back end configuration. You can continue to edit this how you see fit. We have that vertical added. If, for example, we want to add a query suggestion to show what is Yext as a universal prompt. What this means is that when someone clicks into the search bar, they'll actually see this prompt to begin with. So you can add as many as you like. I'll just add that one for now and show you what it looks like. We'll actually see it in the staging experience when we publish it to production. So for universal prompts specifically, you'll only see it in production, and right now we're in staging. But this is a great way to show when someone clicks into a search bar, what are possible queries that they can input to kind of understand what types of content they can search for, what types of questions they can search for. Great. So now that we have the back end configuration, we'll jump into the front end so we can see what a user will see when they search. So right now I'm in our Pages Sites tab, and this is the site that was created with the free trial. Let's jump straight into the code editor so we can take a look. We just want to edit this branch. And this will create a session for you. You can see I'm continuing a session I was in previously. What this means is that you'll be able to come back to this session to make edits and make any changes you want to the front end of the answers experience. You can see here that we also have live preview, which is a great way to just show you what it'll look like so that you can see your changes live as you make them versus having to publish to your site every time. So here is our search bar to begin with. So let's just do what is Yext again. And we can see that featured snippet that we had. We have some pages and this looks like the titles for the videos. So this is just what you're starting with. I think we need to make some updates before it looks like how we want. So I'm going to jump back into the code editor. The first thing I'm going to do is actually change some of the styling. So I'm going to jump into our static SCSS and our answers.scss file. So you can see that there's already some styling to hide some of our navigation. This is because we started the experience with just the pages. And so we wanted to hide the navigation bar since there was only that one vertical. Now that we added our videos vertical, we don't need to hide that. So just open the console. This is a way for you to track the updates that the preview is making on the back end. So you can see it's completed. We can jump back over and see if I just refresh the page, we can see this navigation bar here now where you can see the all tab that surfaces all results across verticals. And then we have a pages page. So we need a videos page. Let's go ahead and add that. Go to tools, Jambo commands. We're going to add a vertical. And this is for our videos vertical. So let's just name it videos. The vertical key is something that you want to match with your backend. So for our videos vertical here, you can see the vertical key is here. It's just videos. And this just lets the front end know what it should be, what backend it should be tying to this page. We'll use the video card that we have. And we'll select the grid layout, and this will show us videos in a grid so that we can see it more of a square shape versus the standard shape that we have. So this is just creating that vertical for us, and you can see that the new pages were added here. So that's completed. Let's see what it looks like. And so you can see how live preview is pretty useful to kind of jump over and see what the front end would look like after each of the changes I make. And so what is Yext? You can see I have a videos vertical page now. So here is our grid. It looks like we need to make some more updates to get the videos to actually show. And so first of all, I want to change this to a 2-column grid to have a little bit more space for each of these videos. And I want to make changes to this actual result card here because it doesn't look like what I want it to. Right now, I'm just using this built-in product prominent video card. So if I want to make any changes, I have to go ahead and fork the card and create a new card that I can actually edit. And so what this does is just pull from the theme that we have. The theme is a set of files that you pull in directly from the Hitchhiker's theme and gives you a standard layout to be template to start out with. So we want to use that theme, but make it our own. And so what we're doing is making a copy of the theme file, that same video card that we selected. I'm just going to name it videos, and we're going to make a copy of it at the top level so that we can make changes ourselves. I'm going to change this card type to videos, the one that I just created, so that it'll pull in this card here. And let me just close the console so that we have a little more space to work with. So I want the card component.js. What this means is it's a mapping of all the fields that you want to show up on the card in the search experience. And so we're going to make some changes so that we can actually see the videos, unlike here where we're only seeing the title. So you can see that title that we're seeing is just pulling from the name field in the that is from the knowledge graph. So let's start with the video itself. We want to pull out the Vimeo URL so that gets pulled in here for the video URL. And so this is where the knowledge graph entity type that I pulled up earlier will be helpful. So for our video URL, we want to embed the video. And so we're going to use the Vimeo embed URL. So let's put that here. We're just going to change this to Vimeo embed. And then you can see, refresh the page. And we can see the videos pulling in now. It's just taking a little bit to load. You can see the videos are here now. So we'll make a few more changes. I want to make the video, this title name clickable so that someone can go to it, the actual video if they want to in Vimeo. So that will be our video URL here. This is this URL. And let's say I also want to add a subtitle. So I'm just going to make this our Vimeo release date. So the date that the video came out. I'm going to do that. And I also want to check on the grid that we used. So I said that I wanted grid 2 columns, and it looks like that update didn't come through. It's still in 3 columns. So I'm going to just make another change here so that to make sure that this can process. I'm going to add videos as a label. And then I'm just going to wait for this to refresh. I'm going to hard refresh this page. Oh, okay. So this is still a 3 column, but if I go back to the universal tab, you can see the videos are in 2 columns. So you can kind of see how this is an iterative process. It's something that to play around with. But now the videos are in this 2 column. The video is embedded itself. You can see that the title is clickable here. I've got this release date. I can always use a formatter to change how this date is presented if I want. And then if I wanted to make the videos page itself a 3 column layout, I'd have to change the page layout itself. And that is easy to do. That's the pages handlebars file. You can see that, let's see, there's a three column here. It's the number, not the typed out. So it should be 3. And let's see, I think I'll have to get back to you on that one, on how to change that specifically. But you can see how it's pretty easy to change the layout and the front end of your answers experience to show off how you want your answers experience to look. It's very iterative process. You can make changes in the code editor and just view it right away in your live preview. Great. And so we've got our answers experience in a good place. We've added the videos vertical on the back end and the front end. You can always go in and make any more changes you want to, for example, the styling to make it look more like your brand. Maybe your brand doesn't use this blue and black color and white. You want to change the colors to make it look like your brand. You can always, change the card layout like we did for the videos to make the pages match more, whatever you want. It's pretty easy to do. And so we've got our vertical added. So with that, I'm going to jump back into the slides and cover next steps. So now that we've got that, we've covered how to get your experience up. What are the next steps for you to do? So first, get your experience live. So start your free trial by going to yext.com/try/site search. Exactly what Dana showed you earlier on how to set that up to crawl your website, to add some data, then go in, add more data to your knowledge graph. You can add more verticals to your answers experience with that process I just showed you and continue to customize it to how you want. Then when you actually have your answers experience live, we've actually got a webinar coming up next week that'll be a good follow-up to this one on best practices for optimizing your site search experience. So that once you have your site live, this will take a look at what changes you want to make to improve your experience in terms of your search quality, the way that the site looks, based on what users are searching for in your experience. You'll want to make some changes to the results that are showing up. And then if you have any questions, here are 3 ways you can get them answered. So first, check out our Hitchhikers training. We've got content on everything that we just covered today, as well as a lot more content on all of our products. And so that's a great way to learn about them and see how to use the products. If you have questions, you can join our office hours, which we have every other week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. The next one is next week. And here you'll be able to ask the questions you have and have someone from our Hitchhikers team answer and walk you through whatever questions you have. And finally, you can ask your questions directly in the community as well. So this is our forum where you can ask questions, browse what other people have asked, and see, and just get good answers to any questions that you have on our products and how to use them. We do ask for you to fill out our feedback form. We hope that this webinar was useful for you, and we want to hear about how you'll use it and how it could be improved as well. And so you'll get this questionnaire at the end of the Zoom itself. And so finally, we'll jump over to our Q&A. It looks like we've got some questions to start off with. So the first question from one of our attendees: do we have to refresh the connectors which crawl for any new content created on our site, or is this a scheduled task? So I'm going to pass this over to Dana to answer.
Great. I actually think this might be helpful if I share my screen so you can see exactly where these things are scheduled. So for the crawler is set up, and when you create the free trial, your account for the free trial for the first time, it is set to just crawl once. That's so you pull in the data once from your website. It's kind of the basis of what your answers experience is going to be. But if you did know that we're going to add new pages and wanted to use this as the main way of keeping data in your account, you could change that to be daily or weekly. Then on the connectors page, you see we have the source for this one is the site crawler, and we see the schedule is after each crawl. So every time that crawler runs on whatever schedule the crawler's set to run on, then the schedule here could be after each crawl, or you could set it to be something different, which we can look at right now, or just by on demand. So it'll either run after each crawl, or you'll have to go in there manually and run it. For the connectors that are coming from different data sources, whether that's an API or one of our native sources, similarly, you can do that hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or custom. So you won't have to manually change something on your website and then have to go click run every time. So you can set this up to run on whatever schedule you want and then be able to pull in your data.
So it looks like we have a couple other questions. Do you have a Wistia connector?
Thank you for that question. No, we do not yet, but my team is the one that helps build out these out-of-the-box connectors, so I will add it to our backlog. You could also submit that as a request on the ideas board, and we can provide updates there as we begin to work on it, and we can let you know when it's available. But one thing that's great about the connector framework too is if you are familiar with Wistia's APIs, or, and I see another question from Chandra about the Rocco connector. If you're familiar with one of their APIs, you can try to build out a connector yourself if that is something that you want to do and you're familiar with that, or if you want to work with the technical engagement manager on your account to help you build out a connector to pull in that data, you can do that as well and say, hey, we have data in one of these sources. Here's the documentation. Can you help us build this out? We want to pull this data into our account. So even though it's not available out of the box, we have ways to build out custom connectors so that you can pull in any data type that you need. And if we can provide some follow-up guides and things like that as well in the follow-up email for this webinar with how to build your own connector, if that's something that you're interested in.
And what about an umbraco connector?
Yeah, the same thing applies, but I will take both of those back and we'll look into them and see when we can build them out on our side.
Great. Thanks, Dana. And I want to just jump back in. I realized that I was supposed to change to 2 columns. The reason that the columns weren't working earlier was I just needed to change that to 2 columns on the page layout here. And if I just open the console again, so let's refresh this. And you can see that's 2 columns. So we had another question on, do I have to design my own result card for each vertical in CSS? And so that's a really good question. So you can see how at the beginning, I started with the built-in product prominent video card. And that gave me that result that I didn't really want. So I can show you back again. So if I just use the built-in card here, that had the very bare bones layout. The fields weren't mapped exactly right. And so the data wasn't pulling in, and that's why I had to create my own card for that. So you can see only that name field match, but I had to change the fields in the video card that I created to map to different fields for it to pull in. And so you are free to use the built-in cards if they match. For this one specifically, I think the video fields didn't match what the fields that the Vimeo connector created, and so we had to change it. But oftentimes you will be able to use the built-in cards directly. And so if you want to, and if it's a good fit for you, feel free to do that. It's less work on you. But if at any time you see that you want to make changes, then you can create those new cards and then make any styling changes that you want in our CSS files. And looks like those are all the questions. So thanks again, everyone, for joining our site search webinar today. This recording will be uploaded to our YouTube, which you can also find by searching our Hitchhiker site. And yes, look forward to interacting with you all more in future events as well as the community. Thank you.